This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on props.
By 1990, no Australian child will be living in poverty.
Well, may we say, God save the Queen, because nothing will save the Governor General.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
I want to do this slowly.
I believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians.
But we will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
People are entitled to their sexual proclivities.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not.
The Australian public does not want to see this place descend into a political colosseum.
Just sit down, Buffett.
Welcome to The Take. Hi. This is The Take. I'm Tish. That's not my intro. How are we, everybody? Welcome to The Take. I'm Tish, and also known as Echo, and I usually do anti-MLM content, but this is my side project of my side project. It's political things. Political takes. That's why it's called The Take. All right, let's get into it. So this is part 7. It's not an obsession. It's not an obsession. It's not. About Graham Platner and why he's a bad candidate, but more so that it is a symbol of how effed up it is that the so-called leftist progressive media has been covering him and other supposedly progressive Democrats, and it is a symbol of how fucking hopeless things are over there, and how these creators and channels and news organizations are creating a situation where, one, the left is never going to be seen to be serious ever again, and two, just an accomplice to genocide and fascism, right? And it's getting even worse because now not only have we got Graham Platner and the support for Zohran, but we've got a new contender into the show. It's Brad Lander, who was cross-endorsed with Zohran in the mayoral thing, the mayoral race. He was running for mayor as well. He's the current New York comptroller, which I didn't know what that was, but it is the treasurer. It's a different name for a treasurer. Anyway, and apparently he's really shit at it, and he's invested in Elbit Systems. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Anyone heard of that on the Palestine side of things? Elbit? Anyone? Are they currently in a legal case with Palestine Action for some people who broke into a base and wrecked some of their stuff, and they're on a hunger strike and may die very soon? That Elbit Systems, right? As well as other Zionist entities and private equity, and it's a lot of BS. And he's a Zionist, P.S. Should have led with that, Tish. Anyway, so I've been deconstructing and talking about different creators and channels and news organizations to expose them and hopefully, get people to watch and support other things. Let's talk about Francesca Fiorintini. On today's, I realized I was listening back to my other episode and I don't have a good introduction. So I'm going to try and have a better introduction. So today, thank you for listening to my preamble. What I'm going to talk about today is The Bitchuation Room, who is hosted by Francesca Fiorintini. She is a comedian and creator, and she has worked for Al Jazeera and Zateo, and Zateo is going to be our other focus for today. We may stumble more into Brad Lander today. I don't know how it's going to go, but we're starting with Graham Platner. But let me tell you about how I became disillusioned with the Bitchuation Room, aka Francesca Fiorintini. Now, I've really adored her podcast for a few years, and did I find her before Majority Report? Probably around about the same time. Anyway, I, had that day where I was like, no, that's it. I'm done with the Majority Report. Fuck you guys. I'm going elsewhere. And my first thought was, I'm going to go to Francesca because she usually doesn't BS. Like, she's got no time for that BS. She can usually see through the shit. She'll call out fucking AOC for voting for defensive weapons for Israel. Like, she seemed like she was going to be clear-headed on this, especially because I mentioned in my last episode that she was an OG Iraq war hater. Like, she was in the streets protesting. It was a big influence on her in her early years, and Occupy, and like, those were her formative activist and like, journalism years. And so I thought, oh, she'll definitely be calling out Graham Platner. Oh, Tish. Tish, you were wrong. I was wrong. And when I left the Majority Report, I cancelled my membership, which was around about $10 a month. I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, well, I was prepared to pay for a membership. I'll go and pick someone else because I do want to support independent media. And I'm pretty sure I bought in the beginning a month of Zateo. I did want to give money to independent media. But you need to really make sure that just because they're independent doesn't mean that they're not going to say just crazy shit and forget their principles. But so I watched her and I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like she's, pro Graham Platner or anything like that. And then she had, so this episode 303, and Sam Cedar was on it, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, well, let's see what he has to say. And she has a segment on her show called What Are You Bitching About? And Sam was bitching about that it was unfair that Graham Platner was being, maligned by people because of his past Reddit posts or whatever. And I'm like, no, that wasn't unfair. No, 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 no. And he talked about all these serious things that were going on, oh, I could bitch about this, I could bitch about that, I could bitch about this, but I'm going to bitch about how unfair it is for Graham Platner that he's not getting. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck you. And then I fast forwarded it to the next person. And that's when I was really like, I'm done with fucking the Majority Report. And then I know she said something about Graham Platner, right? She definitely said, maybe it's okay. And then she had some tweets on Blue Sky that she deleted. Why did you delete them? Why did you delete them, Francesca? Oh, by the way, Wilbur, one of my dogs, not that one. He has an abscess, poor little fella. We went to the vets yesterday and he's on antibiotics and anti-inflammatories. And yeah, he's got abscess on his jaw. It doesn't hurt him though. He was a trooper. He's a bit quiet. He's a bit not real rowdy. But he took it like a champ. The vet said. You would have thought it would hurt. And I've heard also that because I was looking up to see if it had ruptured or anything. Because it's a bit weepy, and when I looked it up, it said, "Oh, it will smell bad" or something like that. I'm like, it has no smell. Weird. So I don't think he's ruptured it. It just seemed like it. Anyway, that's a story about my dog's abscess. Great. Good on you, Tish. So she did end up deleting this, right? Which is weird. All right. No one is saying the tattoo isn't deeply offensive. Nazis are bad. Oh, brave. Brave. What a brave statement from Francesca there. But, fucking hell. Nazis are bad, but no one has been able to prove that Platner is a Nazi in belief, words, or deeds. Could it be he's telling the truth about being drunk and getting a dumb tattoo he randomly picked? Follow-up tweet. The Platner discourse is pretty shrill, but his Reddit posts paint a full picture of someone who, though used awful language at times, also went to a BLM demo, supported Afghan refugees, and served in the military, like so many, in part to access higher ed. Okay, so if you haven't watched any of my other videos, that's fine. Go and watch them now, and then check back with me, and then watch the next one and check. Is it good? Okay, cool. Like and subscribe. I said in those videos that I didn't think Graham Platner was a Nazi. I don't think he's a Nazi. I think he's a troll. Like, I think he wants to be, like, counterculture. Like, man, I'm getting it. Fuck it. Check this out. I got a Nazi tattoo. That'll, like, upset them libs, right? Anyway, because I think he's a Zionist, actually, because his stepbrother is a Zionist and was embedded with the IOF and wrote a book about drone warfare based on research from Palestine, from the genocide. So that whole thing, he was paid by AIPAC to do a speech. Yeah. So I don't think he's a Nazi. I think he's a bigot. I think that he has a superiority complex and he thinks he's bigger, stronger, better than everybody else, and that's what the tattoo represents. And he also said, in his own words, when we were on, what did he call it, fucking leisure time, he said something, I can't remember what it was, drinking and partying and so on, he said we got a tattoo that resembled our jobs, and I chose a scary skull and crossbones, right? It represented his job. What was his job? Killing people in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's what it was celebrating. So that's what the Nazi tattoo symbolizes, on top of being like a symbol of hate and power and overpowering someone who's weaker than you, right? So there's that. And I just think any sentence that says Nazis are bad, but it's a bad thing that's coming. Anyway, no one's been able to prove that Platner is a Nazi in belief, words, or deeds. Okay, so the deed, like I said, I don't think this makes him a Nazi, but the proof that he may be a Nazi is the fucking tattoo on his chest and the 1919 on his arm. That's a deed. That's a thing that happened that represents being a Nazi. Like, come on now. And also, what are other things that make him have similar beliefs to the Nazis? Well, military strength and oppression of somebody who's weaker. Or is it somebody who's brown, right? Killing them, saying our way of life is better, like he did on Reddit. He said that. We are going to kill millions because our way of life is better. Reddit post says, we are going to kill thousands. By the end of it, it may be millions. It was a million. In one of my videos, I did go over the Brown University cost of war, has a really big breakdown of it. Our way of life is better. And if that is what it takes to prevail, let's get this show on the road. I don't disagree with your point, blah, 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 blah. But that was August 19th, 2014. He hasn't said anything the opposite way around there. So, I felt that It was hypocritical for her to be supporting. Yeah, so that superiority of my culture, our way of life is better. I'm pretty sure the Nazis thought that. They thought that people who were not them were lower class people and worth killing. Yeah, that's like the entire reason for the Holocaust. And yeah. So, could it be he's telling the truth about being drunk and getting a dumb tattoo? Wasn't a dumb tattoo. You said it's an offensive tattoo up here that he randomly picked. Again, from a flash sheet, which he admits it was a flash sheet. And anybody who gets tattoos knows that flash sheets have a theme. So if you have one with the Totenkopf, do you think there's other things on that flash sheet that tell you the topic? So I had a quick look on Google Images to see if I could find a flash sheet, and there are a couple, but I couldn't really find one with just Nazi symbolism, but also I don't think that would be easy to find. And there is an underground Nazi or neo-Nazi culture in Croatia. I've heard that about. Also Ukraine and a couple of other countries like that. And I mean, Germany. Germany's come back. The Fourth Reich is happening. But what did strike me is the variety of skulls that you could get. The absolute, just you could have got any skull. Any skull. There's hundreds and thousands of different types of skull. And also, there are traditional military tattoos. Like that's, if you know your styles, traditional is, or Americana, has that aspect of the military. And they do have traditional tattoos that go with certain military places like the Navy, the Air Force, whatever. And yeah, like it's just like in his Reddit post about the Punisher skull. That was a symbol of Iraq. So how come everybody else's tattoos symbolize what they symbolize, but his is just a scary skull? It's not in Totenkopf. It's not dumb. It is offensive, but you're contradicting yourself in that fucking comment. She's a hypocrite. The Platner discourse is pretty shrill. Is that a stab at women? I don't know. Shrill means high pitched, doesn't it? Annoying, maybe? High pitched and piercing. Yeah, okay. The Platner discourse. Oh, let me talk about discourse because I'm smart. I'm going to use the word discourse. The discussion around Graham Platner. Oh, I think you mean the discourse. Anyway, it's pretty shrill, high pitched, and annoying. But his Reddit posts paint a full picture of someone who though used awful language at times, like the R slur many times. That wouldn't bother her. She doesn't mind a little bit of ableism. We'll talk about it in a minute. Also went to a BLM demo, supported Afghan refugees and served in the military, like so many, in part to access higher ed. Okay, maybe he went to a BLM demo. So did a lot of Democrats who are racist and supported genocide. Also, he was talking about being a psychedelic fucking hippie or whatever when he was in Afghanistan with Blackwater. So it doesn't really matter what he said on Reddit because his actual actions in his life paint a different picture. One that these people just cannot admit is a part of who he is. It's like, and they're all sunk cost fallacy now. They have put too much into it. They can't go back on this now. They have to fucking die on this hill of Graham Platner. And he's gonna let them down. And I will be there to say, I fucking told you so. Well, my 17 videos, who knows how long this series is going to be, will be there as a test of time to say, you fucked it. Because, like I said, it's going to make people not trust any politician who says they're left-wing. Because all of the people who have said they're left-wing betray them. He said once, I did see the Afghan refugees. And it was like uh, Afghan refugees getting resettled here. And his response to that was, good. That's his support for Afghan refugees. Oh my God. And he didn't have to serve in the military to access college. He was rich, Francesca, friend of the working people. He was rich. When he finished school, he said, like, he had made the statement Free Palestine or was against the Iraq war, but he had been wanting to be a soldier since he was like 8 years old, something like that, right? And he was going to go and serve, and this was my war. He called it his war. This was my war. I was going to serve in it. And his parents were like, we don't really want you to do that because it's a little bit common, don't you think? I don't know if that was the conversation, but. And so they paid for him to backpack around Europe to get his adventure, like, desires. Here, go and have some adventure. Here, backpacking around Europe. Imagine in fucking 2004 or something like that. Very privileged. And he still wanted to join the military, so he came back and joined the military. And then he served and came back to America, like got discharged and all, started university, was working as a barman, and then re-enlisted. Didn't finish college. So is that the story you're going to go with, Francesca? Yeah, shit story. Okay. So she got pushed back on that, and that makes sense to me because you're a fucking hypocrite. Somebody who is so against the Iraq war. So I missed this reply from Francesca. She actually wrote some more bits about this. And after she says that the Platner discourse was shrill, does she mean... I still think that's possibly misogyny. I've often said that in a political choice where one has to be perfect versus being human, having mistakes past transgressions, most people will choose being human and bristle at the idea that you must be perfect. It's why the left loses. But on substance, Platner passes the smell test. God damn, that's worse than Emma Vigeland's. That's worse than... Who hasn't shit posted? Who hasn't done this? I guess, you know? Oh, and I thought it was pretty bad when she said, yeah, the Nazi tattoo is offensive, but Francesca's husband is Jewish. Okay, so no one's asking him to be perfect. They're just asking for him not to be a boasting vet, you know? Like, they just don't want him to be that. They don't want him to be fucking... have served 4 tours and a mercenary squad with Blackwater. They just don't want him to have a Nazi tattoo. Just don't want him to have a pro-war, pro-military platform, you know? And he used the R slur, which she's fine with because she's ableist. And there was some racism. And remember how you used to be against the Iraq war, Francesca? Remember that? Back in the early 2000s where you cut your teeth on journalism? This man fought in that war voluntarily 4 times. And he didn't just stay in the army. He was discharged and chose to go back, knowing full well where he was going to serve, what he was going to do, and all that sort of shit. And he doesn't regret it one bit, except to say that it was a waste of money and they didn't win. They didn't get anything out of it. He doesn't mention dead Iraqis. He doesn't mention dead Afghans. He mentions his dead friends. So obviously he's got a little bit of empathy in there for some people, right? Like, I am stunned at this justification. My God. This is why the left loses? Because we won't let... That's insane. That's insanity. We lose because these people say they're leftists and Zohran, and they're fucking not. That's why we lose. Because people don't know what a leftist is. And you guys don't help it any. Because you pose as leftists, but you're liberals. You're a bunch of shit libs. It is so terrible. This is, like, no wonder people in America are confused. They've spent so many years calling the Democrats leftists when they're right wing. They're all the same, but they're all the same bird, as some people say. And yeah, he doesn't pass the smell test. He has not atoned. He has not said sorry. He has not done anything for his victims. He hasn't divested from any of the positions. He just says, even when he was talking about defending his Reddit post about which wars he fought in, he would like to have fought in, right? First of all, he doesn't say German, like the World War II. He doesn't say he would like to fight against the Nazis, which is so unusual. Like, so unusual. You would have thought, because that's such a big, war where America really did come in clutch for everybody, and D-Day, like the mythos surrounding World War II, the Greatest Generation, like there's a lot of goodwill for those people. It's changed a little bit now because a lot of them have become fucking MAGA, but and he was saying that, so he wanted to fight in the Indian Wars, in Nicaragua, Cambodia, a whole bunch of colonial wars, imperialist wars, regime change wars, right? Because that's what he wanted to do. And when he was confronted with this, and people were like, people are thinking this is kind of a little bit weird from Ryan Grimm, pressuring him so hard, right? He said, I considered myself to be a professional soldier. It's what I always wanted to do, and I was really good at it. Okay, so it doesn't really explain why you want to go back in time and genocide Indians, because the Indian Wars weren't wars, they were a genocide, Just that's just one example. I am flabbergasted that fucking Francesca can lay it out like that. I'm glad that I didn't give her any money ever. And the answers here from people. His time as a Blackwater merc is hard to explain or overcome, though. Then this guy, the next one. Sorry, this is a video. He didn't join to get access to higher ed, and this is my point too. He joined for adventure and to kill some people. Family is very wealthy. Famous architect grandfather whose chairs sell for $15K. Father's a wealthy corporate lawyer. Mother owns restaurants. Went to $75K per annum boarding school. Yeah, and his father bought him a house. So he doesn't have a mortgage. He's got his own house, owns his own house. They paid for him to go backpacking to get the adventure out of his, so his life, so that he wouldn't serve in the military. And when he was working in college, he worked as a bartender. Do you think that if he really needed a job, right, which is what we've been told, he really needed this job, could he have gotten a job as a bartender in his mother's restaurant if he really needed a job? Do you think so? And this is from his Reddit. Why did you enlist in the Marine Corps? And this is from 2020. It's 5 years old. I think he's in his 40s. So he was in his 40s. I think he's 40 something. Wanted to have an adventure and kill some people. Joined up in 04, did Fallujah and Ramadi, and managed both. Hell of an excellent experience. Like, fucking hell, these people. This is in the Marine Corps subreddit. Just terrible. This person said he Went to 60k a year private school, and we are supposed to believe he joined to access higher education. Lol, Lamau even. This person says, I agree, but I'm still going to side-eye. I can't vote for him regardless. So, yeah, I can't vote for him either, but fuck, I'm going to yell out so loud that, like, no one should. Two campaign managers have left him within a week of each other, and he's pushing NDAs on his staff. But sure, let's go with the Nazi tattoo candidate who doesn't like Israel for some mysterious reason. Great optics, if anything. And then Current Affairs has said Platner has tried to brush off his homophobic and other problematic posts by claiming they were from some distant past when he was just a wee and silly lad. But many of these were in fact from 2021 when he was 37 years old, 4 years ago. I think I pressed on this link. And it says gullible on the ceiling. Yeah. The white moderate problem. If MLK saw Ezra Klein and Graham Platner today, I think he'd go back in time to willingly let himself be something. And I might read the white moderate thing. I don't hold anyone accountable for their views when they're 18 to 21-ish years old, especially military. I was in the Navy. I said plenty of dumb stuff then too. We all do. What matters is people change, and if so for the better, they are to be embraced by the left, not shunned. Well, it hasn't changed that much. Then someone said, shut the fuck up, you stupid cunt. I'm not going to say it that harshly. That's not okay. This was the Current Affairs, Graham Platner and the left's masculinity crisis, and I'm still happy with Current Affairs' point of view. Jacobin begs to differ. And then this person says, is there going to be space among the left for people to change or not? If there is, that will inevitably include change, which isn't limited to a neat little box of youthful ignorance, which magically morph into better actions and positions just because someone hits a certain age. True, but the age thing has been used by people who are defending him, and that's why people are mentioning age, because they're saying, well, he did this when he was young. And we're saying, well, he did it when he was older as well. That's a pattern of behavior. That's not like young ignorance. He's had time to think about it. He's lived a life of experience. He has lived this life. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. He served in the military. He served before 2014. And in 2014, that's when he made the statement about our way of life is better. By the end of this, we're going to kill millions. I'm sorry. That's something you need to atone for. Apologize. And do work with them, with his victims. It's unacceptable that people just say, well, he's changed now. You have to accept him on the left. No, we fucking don't. We don't have to accept him on the left. Okay? We need to draw some fucking very clear lines. And again, I don't think he dislikes Israel. I think he just is a fucking idiot. And he likes himself. He thinks he's powerful and he likes other powerful people. And because his brother-in-law and his stepbrother, Seth Frantzman, is a Zionist, has worked with the IDF, has a book about drone warfare out, that he did a speech where he was paid by AIPAC, and he used the drone warfare in Palestine as a basis for a book. The man is a fucking, this man, Graham Platner, has more red flags than I've ever seen in a candidate. More than fucking Fetterman. Although the stroke is one gigantic red flag hitting you in the face. So she also linked, so she goes, I'm just going to leaving this here, and it is the Jacobin article You're being lied to about Graham Platner by Branko Marcetti, who it's just a puff piece for fucking Graham Platner. So she full-throatedly supports Graham Platner, and she's a traitor to the left. She's a traitor to her beliefs that she had in the early years. Just disgusting. Like, totally. And, oh, yes, the thing about changing, yes. I was fighting with somebody, Brianna Joy Gray, and on Bad Faith is having this conversation about Graham Platner, including that guy from Jacobin. And um, I'm like, everyone's like, like, he can't be perfect, like she's saying. And it's like, he can change, he can improve, he can make amends, which he hasn't, but he can do all those things, right? Doesn't mean he should be an elected official. He shouldn't be. I'm sorry, but he shouldn't. Oh, and also, she was like, being the champion of the working class party. She does have union made merch, right? But she also is sponsored by HelloFresh. And HelloFresh has an atrocious record with unions. Totally. Like, they have been exposed as being really bad to unions for a while now. Bad workplace health and safety, bad pay, conditions. So, good work on the fucking union-made merch. And also, she doesn't mind being ableist. She'll call people out for she doesn't mind giving shit to Trump for being fat. She calls, what's his name? Greg Abbott is he the Texas governor? Or is that Ted Cruz? Oh, I think or the Arizona? The guy in the wheelchair, she calls him Hot Wheels. No, he's Texas because Jasmine Crockett also calls him Hot Wheels. And he's in a wheelchair? So how about you shut the fuck up? I don't care that he's evil, because that just means he's got a lot of other things you can say to him to insult him other than Hot Wheels, because that's not something you can help. Yeah, she's one of those, like, with Kyle, and they just love, I don't know, shitting on people if they're like, and I don't accept that excuse. Oh, well, they're bad people, so it doesn't matter that I'm picking on their disability or their physical appearance. What? Anyway, so I thought that she might sort of like not talk about it, and she might, I don't know, come back on her words about Graham Platner, but then she had this video come out a couple of weeks ago. A veteran's perspective. Graham Platner's story is not unique. And it's like, okay, I didn't watch it, but I read the transcript, and it was about, like, that veterans are fundamental to the anti-war projects, right? And I would agree with that. Like, for people like Greg Stoker, who definitely, as a veteran, uses his experience to be vocally anti-war. Greg Stoker was on the global flotilla Samud and was detained by Israel. He was face to face with Ben Gvir. Like, he's been there trying to break the blockade in Gaza so that people can eat and not die. What's Graham Platner fucking done? He hasn't done any of that. And it's ridiculous to even fucking, like, put him, like, she's not saying that that's what he's doing. She's just trying to get people to think more along those lines. It's like, I know Graham Platner isn't doing these particular things, like starting, these anti-war groups, blah, 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 but that's what you're trying to get people to lean towards. It's like, well, he's anti-war, and veterans are really important in the anti-war movement, aren't they? Yeah, they are, but Graham Platner's specifically not doing anything for the anti-war movement. He wants to pay the military more to encourage more recruits. it is already in the fucking trillions. Like, you've got to be kidding me. It's not just his past Reddit account, it is his current policy as well. Come on now. So I thought that was really shitty and like underhanded. Like, he's not doing that work and he doesn't deserve the credit for it. He's not saying sorry. He didn't say he's sorry. He didn't return his medals. He hasn't said anything like that. And even if he had, like atoned and tried to redeem himself and all those things, guess what? We're not his victims. He has to seek that from his victims. And these people, not just Francesca, but all of them, are speaking over victims. I've seen Iraqis and other people in the comments saying, like, I don't think this is okay. And that's not being talked about. So the other thing that I thought was quite hypocritical, which I talked about with Crystal Ball as well, is the hypocrisy when it comes to Pete Hegseth and Graham Platner. Two very similar guys in their military service. I don't think that that Graham Platner is a rapist or an alcoholic. That, those things have not come out. Was he insensitive about female victims? Yes. But he's no Pete Hegseth when it comes to abusing and sexually assaulting women. Thank goodness. So, like, Pete Hegseth has got him beat on that one. However, all the rest of it, very similar. Secretary of War there, Pete Hegseth's ideas for the military are insane. Imagine that. I didn't watch this video, but I'm supposed to be thinking that, like, his tattoos are a problem because they are neo-Nazi dog whistles. Graham Platner also has a Nazi tattoo, and it's not a dog whistle. It's the fucking dog. Like, it's, hello, I'm a Nazi symbol. Are we the baddies? Totenkopf, Death's Head Skull. I don't know why. There was so much arm movement there. The armography was going. But we're supposed to think that these two men are very different. Like, one's okay and one's not. I would like to submit to the court that they're both bad. Hegs is the worse, and he's got more power, but they're both bad. And, like, I didn't like all of the stuff that Pete Hegseth said at that fucking army thing where he did the speech. Oh, God, that was pathetic. I cannot imagine how awful it must be for a career military man to be getting this fucking, like, Pete Hegseth telling you what to do and a rotund fucking Donald Trump. Especially when Pete Hegseth said no more fatties and then Donald Trump rolls out there. I'm like, what? Cognitive dissonance, much? But he also, everything that he said in that was coded racism. You can't have a beard. You can't have, like, natural. There's all this, and a beard also coded as Islamophobia as well. Oh, I think that you'd be okay with Graham there too, both, But the other thing too, like, I think this is meant to make him look silly in the thumbnail, but I think this is at a triathlon. So and that, like, it was a 9/11 triathlon, and that's why he's in his little shorts there. Yeah. I think that Graham Plattner's ideas for the military are insane too. He wants to give them more money. That's insane. It's the most populated and budgeted for force in the entire world, and could, if you moved some of that money around, you could solve childhood poverty and you could solve homelessness. Like, yeah. She also was talking about JD Vance defends vile Republican group chat. Well, guess what? All of you guys defended fucking Graham Platner's shitty Reddit posts. Very similar. Very similar. It's just the hypocrisy, guys. The hypocrisy. This is her Twitter, and Palestinians have a right to exist. Well, it's interesting that you say that because your golden boy, Zohran, is capitulating to Zionists like every day. More and more Zionists, and including his good friend Brad Lander. And I think that you're okay with Brad Lander as well. So many people are. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't hold Zoran's feet to the fire, right? And she started by saying, let's talk about Zoran supporting Hakeem Jeffries. Should we be worried? And the talk that we got from this basically was that Zoran's just trying to get his agenda done. He's just trying to get his agenda done. He's just up to his agenda. Like, don't you want him to get his agenda done? So this was on a video that Francesca did with Waj. It's imperative that Mamdani be able to implement his promises to New Yorkers. He will lay the foundation for future progressive policy success. Absolutely. So ridiculous. He had a mandate. Like, everybody has to suck up to him. He was the guy. Like, he's the one. They don't have to suck up to, like, he doesn't have to suck up to them. He doesn't have to, like, capitulate to them. They have to come to him. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is very unpopular. Very unpopular. And she needs Zoran to support her. All of them do. And we're supposed to believe that he doesn't have the power in that situation? What a pile of shit. It is so evident that they do not have respect for their audiences because they want to say continually that he is the underdog. Oh no, he has to just go gently. He has to like work his way into the politics. Don't you understand? That's not how things work. This is about this, and this. And it's like, we've just seen Trump just annihilate every single fucking protocol and, like nicety, manners, like all this fucking manners politics or whatever, like that sort of respectability politics is gone. And he has support and momentum and energy and people. He could have done and been anything. I'm speaking at the wrong bit. He could have rode that wave saying, all right, let's go. No, we don't. Kathy Hochul's out. We want the other guy. I can't remember the guy who's running her lieutenant governor. And let's go, Chiose. Let's get in there. Let's get more DSA members. Let's go. And, like New Jersey, like spread it out. Keep going. But no. He said, oh, I totally endorse Jeffries for Speaker of the House. Oh no, Chiose, don't run against Jeffries because you're going to make a caricature of the DSA, right? He went to the actual fucking meeting in person. And don't think that that wasn't a huge thing. He could have zoomed into it. He could have rung up. He could have sent a letter. He went in person because he's a massive celebrity now. And he knows it. That's why he visited Trump. He knows what position he's in. He is a cunning politician. And so he's gone to this meeting in person. Everybody's starstruck. Oh, it's all right. Oh, selfie, And he says to the group, don't primary Jeffries. And Chiose had been promoting it. I've got his his Twitter announcement. He went on Majority Report. Like, it was huge and everybody was very excited. Seems like a good guy. And Zoran said, I don't support him. Against Jeffries, who has been so good to the Israel lobby that Charlemagne the God calls him AIPAC Shakur as a joke, but he is heavily endorsed and financially supported by AIPAC and other Zionist organizations. He's made big statements about being a Zionist. On the same day that Zohran met Donald Trump, he made a big deal about a vote about he doesn't believe in socialism. The man has been fucking absent this entire year. Well, Donald Trump is a fascist murderer. He's murdering people in boats. ICE is detaining people. Like Jeffries has been missing. And Zohran went in and said, don't run against him. What a fucking pussy. Zohran Mamdani, are you a hypocrite about Hakeem Jeffries? I think you might be. So this comes from the World Socialist website. Mamdani intervenes to quash primary challenge to Hakeem Jeffries. The author is Daniel DeVries, and it was written on the 24th of November. At the urging of Zohran Mamdani, the New York City chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America voted against endorsing a primary run by Chiose against Hakeem Jeffries. Oh no. So we've already talked about this. Mamdani went further than simply preventing a primary challenge to Jeffries. In an appearance on Meet the Press, the mayor-elect said he supported Jeffries to remain House Speaker in the next Congress. And I saw that. The Meet the Press lady was like, do you think that Hakeem Jeffries should be the Speaker of the House? And he said, yes! And she's like, okay. She seemed surprised. That statement is a striking reversal of Mamdani's previous position. After at least 2,251 Palestinians were killed over the course of July 2014, Mamdani wrote on Twitter in 2022, prior to the US-backed genocide in Gaza, Hakeem Jeffries got on stage today at a rally in NYC and paraphrased George Wallace. Israel today, Israel tomorrow, Israel forever. If Jeffries is considered a progressive, this term has lost all meaning. And that was in 2022. He was still saying shit like that up to his, election. He didn't trash Jeffries or anything like that. But he was pro-Palestine, very, very verbally pro-Palestine, and anti-ICE. He was going to protests, etc. And then he won the primary, and he started walking back things. At first, he never said the words "globalize the Intifada," which means just globalize the revolution. Intifada means revolution. It's just a word in a different language, right? And then he defended it. It's like, I defend people's right to free speech. We're allowed to have that. We live in America. We're allowed to say things like that. And then he started walking that back. And it was just a symbol of everything that he started walking back. I've got some statements from Nardine Kiswani, and she is very critical of Zohran, and she wasn't at first, but she's calling out the back steps that he has taken. You can see here, this was December 4th, and this is on APAC Tracker, who I'm going to do a video about, because APAC Tracker isn't just an anti-APAC organization. They are a Democratic fundraiser PAC. But it says the update, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries tells CNN that the charges against Congressman Henry Suella and his wife were very thin, and that President Trump's pardon of the couple was the right outcome. And Chiose says here, it's truly comical how bad he is. And then Zohran went to this primary and tapped him. You're out, buddy. You're out. We need to toe the Democratic line. Otherwise, they're not going to work with the DSA. And to that, I would have said, fuck them. Fuck the police. Fuck the Democratic Party. That's a bit of a mouthful. But yeah, let's talk about white moderates and what did MLK say about white moderates. Okay, so this is a letter in 1963, and from April 1963, and it was when Dr. Martin Luther King was in jail in Birmingham, He was arrested for publicly protesting, which they deemed as being illegal at the time. So he wrote, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. Although said 55 years ago, the relevance of King's words remains in 2018 and 2025. So it makes sense that people are quoting him online, bringing attention to how certain white moderates try to sanitize King's words and silence Black Lives Matter protests by telling them to wait for justice. Yeah. In his letter sent from jail, King went on to criticize white moderates. He said that a white moderate is someone who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom. Such a person is, according to King, someone who lives by a mythical concept of time and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Ultimately, King wrote that shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. Online, in 2015, a popular hashtag under Reclaim MLK began to remind folks to keep all of King's political ideology in mind, not just the convenient bits. One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza, told The Root that the purpose of the hashtag was to remind people of King's more radical and necessary words. The same hashtag surfaced this Monday after King's admirers took to Twitter. Me watching people who criticized Colin Kaepernick for his nonviolent protest post MLK quotes today. Yeah. A lot of Republicans do have sort of like tried to claim him and talk about his more moderate points because they don't want people to look any further into his extreme, this is what we need to do points. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exists for people for the purpose of establishing justice, and that when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that the present tensions in the South is a necessary phase of transition from an obnoxious negative peace in which the Negro passively accepted his unjust plight to substantive and positive peace in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. Yeah, I just find that interesting, especially when it comes to this point about Graham Platner. Like, Francesca's not a white person, right? But she's capitulating to this moderate stance, and it's like, you know better. She knows better. It's bullshit that she is doing this. And the people, I think that they are really being like just shitty, and I think that they're being dismissive of the people of New York, saying, oh, well, they're not interested in anything else except for this, like getting the free bus and the childcare and blah, blah, blah. They don't care about this shit. They just want their affordability to be there. Blah, blah, blah. No, they do care about this fucking shit. They care about their neighbors. They care about their Palestinian brothers and sisters. It is insulting to say that they don't. They can walk and chew gum, and it's ridiculous that they are expecting anybody to buy that as an excuse. And for these fucking commentators not to be addressing it, give up. You shouldn't be in the business if you can't separate yourself from one guy. And then she did have another video where it's like the future of New York City. We can't let Zohran become Obama. Too late. In fact, he's gone past it. Obama didn't capitulate this quickly. Zohran has just been like, oh, Zionists, love them. Let's go. Jessica Tish, love her. She's great. It's just been insane how quickly it has happened. And I think it's pathetic to make excuses for him. The other thing that she said, did Zohran just son Donald Trump? So she thought that the Donald Trump meeting was Zohran owning Donald Trump. These people are idiots, right? He didn't have to meet Donald Trump. Zohran requested that meeting, and Trump was in a good mood because obviously, what do people do to make Trump smile? Flatter him. And in that time, like, obviously, Donald Trump is a fucking idiot and I hate his guts, but he knows a media moment, right? And he knows that that man is popular, so, he's going to get a bit of popularity. And I think that it has backfired because it just made Donald Trump look like human. And I think I've said this before, but it's like a couple of months ago, Zohran was screeching at Tom Homan, like, leave our people alone, get out of New York, get out of New York. And then he was just with Tom Homan's boss and not a word. He's fine. We're all kick in, like, oh. It was pathetic. And if it wasn't to save people from ICE or get ICE out of New York, then what the fuck was it for? It was weird, and I don't think that it was a power move at all. All right, last thing I'll say about Zohran is, like, after the win, Zohran is the best thing to happen to Democrats. The Democrats, he's already one of them. Like, are you kidding me? He has not changed the party. It's so crazy. And this is the other thing with the Donald Trump meeting. He addresses Donald Trump in his speech and he says, Donald Trump, I've got like one message for you. Turn the volume up. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? What? Are you saying he's deaf? Is that meant to be an insult? I didn't understand that like as an attack. If you wanna attack us, like, and then he completely was like, "Hey, Donald, yeah, I think you're a fascist." It was bizarre. I tell you what, trying to give Wilbur antibiotics is a struggle. Haven't gotten bitten yet, but I'm sure it's on the way. All right, let's get back to this. So, Francesca Fiorintini. Also, shout out to the comments on my last video. I didn't check the comments and only got like a little bit of pushback, which with the good old argument, the girls might hump back there. Sorry. I think they humped on my last video. They've been hunting shadows at the moment, I swear. You must want Janet Mills to win. You must want Susan Collins to win. No, I don't want any of them to win. I don't want Graham Platner to win. I don't want her to win. If I had to choose one of those three, I would choose Janet Mills, if you forced me. Because Janet Mills did say to Trump at a governor's meeting, he said, I'm not going to fund something or other unless you cancel gender affirming care. And Janet Mills said, see you in court. It was a boss move. I think she's too old for the position. But if we're going to be saying people are too old, right? Do you know how old Zohran Mamdani's deputy mayor is? 74. So if that guy's too old, if that guy's okay, so if Janet Mills was 3 years younger, it'd be okay. When you're in your 70s, like, come on. Doesn't matter what number you are, but it's just ridiculous. She's a Zionist, so that, fuck her for that. But Susan Collins definitely sucks. She's pro-Trump and a Zionist. Like, Obviously she sucks. But Graham Platner is too. And he's a multi-murderer, like with his own hands. Obviously Susan Collins has been responsible for deaths because she's in the government that is killing Venezuelans and random fishermen in the ocean, as well as, all over the world in wars. But Graham Plattner's done it with his own hands. And he's admitted it, So, yeah, the idea is that, so in Australia, we have short elections, maybe go for about 2 or 3 months, right? Some people do a little bit of pre-election, you can, there's usually a little bit of buzz, an election's going to be called soon-ish. So they start rolling out some policies and things like that. But 3 months and you're done. And you start straight away. You get sworn in. You're done. And that means that you can't put as much money into it because you don't need to, right? And that's why this whole fucking bullshit reason that I keep hearing, there's not enough time to run someone else. The fucking primary is 6 months away. What the fuck? That is insanity to me. And apparently this guy, Jordan Woods, he's better. So vote for him. I don't know. Anyone's better than Graham Platner, the multi-murderer. So, Francesca, on her... Oh, okay. I thought it was fire. So, Francesca is supposedly, she's not Blue MAGA. She's not a shit lib. She's not, vote blue no matter who. She's critical of AOC, but we're just going to praise AOC here. Now, the other thing, too, with Francesca Fiorintini supporting... so she says, this is the ACYN, which I have seen, and it is a Blue MAGA account. I've seen it on Blue Sky and Substack as well. Do you think you could beat JD Vance in a head-to-head race for president, as polling suggests? And AOC says, I would stomp him. And Francesca's got the painting nails emoji. Okay. Why do they want her to run for president right now? She's just, whatever. And I don't think it's going to be JD Vance, but... So Francesca retweeted. Oh, they call it reposting. I was going to say, it's not Twitter anymore, so it's not real retweeting it. Subject of part 3 of this exposing the shitlib media. Crystal Ball from Breaking Points. Now, it says, primary every one of these people, please. And it is the Democratic majority for Israel. We are thrilled to announce our first round of 2026 House endorsements. Many will play a decisive role in the Democrats' effort to win back the majority, a clear sign that being pro-Israel isn't just good policy, it's good something. I don't fucking care. And Crystal Ball wants them to primary every one of these people. Do you remember that picture from last episode where it says where Crystal was at a Israel thing? Interesting. And Graham Platner is pro-Israel. So we've got Richie Torres, boo. I mean, these people are all obviously fucking scumbags, right? Absolute scumbags. Fuck these people. Yeah, they should all be primaried. They should. But I don't think they will be. And so Jeffries isn't on here. That's interesting. He's obviously going to be a little bit more underhanded with his fucking run. Obviously, I think there's been a conversation between him and Zohran to say, support me and I will not be outwardly pro-Israel. He's going to have to, though, surely, because he's their boy. The most, Wesley Bell, he Did he beat one of... Oh, I think he was the guy who beat one of the squad members, Corey Bush. And then George Latimer, who beat the other guy. God damn it, I can't remember his name. I saw him on Bad Faith podcast, and he was not good. I'll remember his name and pop it up. It was Jamal Bowman. But we've also got Tom Swazi sucks. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You know what I realize every time I read Josh Gottheimer, another loser, every time I read something to do with American politics, there's always like some new name. This government is huge. I don't understand why it is so big. Like, you wouldn't know who half these people are. I don't know who half these people are. You know, like in maybe the states for Australia, I don't know, but everybody else in Parliament is pretty well known. The main person in here too that we need to look out for is Dan Goldman. He's in the New York 10. Ooh, does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? And Richie Torres. There is a woman who is from the DSA who's going up against Richie Torres. And then there's this other fellow, Cameron Kasky. He is not endorsed by the DSA, but he's up against someone older. It's in New York as well. So it's interesting. Please primary every one of these people, please. Yeah, except we're going to actually be soft on some Zionists. Some Zionists are okay. And then we've got her reposting Bernie Sanders, one of the most disappointing people in all of American politics. I will be pushing for a moratorium on the construction of data centers that are powering the unregulated sprint to develop and deploy AI. Great. Is that going to stop it? Because Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about a moratorium. I'll tell you that much. The moratorium will give democracy a chance to catch up and ensure that the benefits of technology work for all of us, not just the 1%. Oh, that's not like, that doesn't sound like it's going to be very regulated then. It's the appearance. It's the appearance of fucking democracy. Then Francesca's reposting Hassan. Candace got the boss call. She's backing down. No one loves instigating drama they're not a part of more than Hassan. And then Hassan sent fucking Candace a super chat of $10 saying, Candace Owens sold out. Why wasn't the interview on camera for your safety or for our pursuit of truth? I hope she does. Like, it's just, I think that Hassan's a poser and Francesca reposting him is pathetic. But I love any expose of Candace because she fucking sucks. I was watching, so Current Affairs did a really good video on her, and even in those comments, her supporters are insane. They are so insane. She just says the most outlandish crap. Like, she's a flat earther. She just, and the whole trans thing with Brigitte Macron, I hope they fucking sue her into non-existence. Because I think that she is in some sort of psychotic, like, thing. And she can't stop, you know. But she had a meeting with Erica Kirk, and now apparently she's backtracking. Here we go. This is reposted from Mehdi Hassan. Abolish ICE and oppose Democrats who refuse to call for the abolition of ICE. And this was a really terrible video of that. But I can tell you something, that Graham Platner's, he doesn't say to abolish ICE on his platform. It's not written there. He doesn't say we need to abolish ICE. And also, Zohran going to kiki with Donald Trump, he's not protecting people in New York from ICE. He made a video saying, know your rights, but is he going to call? I thought he was going to make it a sanctuary city, so then ICE couldn't go there. And I thought that he was going to call the police up. Is that happening or not? A little update might be nice. Okay, now we're going with some soft Zionism, okay? Oh, and so, she had that whole thing with Zohran, oh, he has to work with people. He's got to work with them. Don't you want him to achieve his goals? And Hakeem Jeffries has created an AI commission and it is littered with corporate and tech friendly Dems. AI is wildly unpopular, yet too many national Democratic leaders are rejecting that reality in favor of wooing back Silicon Valley. What did Hakeem Jeffries do after the election? Did he run off to Silicon Valley to talk to the tech people to say, oh, I still love you. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. I will still love you. I did say some things I may say some things in the future, but don't forget me. He is sympathetic to billionaires. And by appointing these 5 members to the commission, Jeffries is signalling to the AI industry that he is open to their demands. This is not the first time that the House Democratic leader has attempted to broker peace with the tech oligarchs who have flocked to Trump's side. In February, he traveled to Northern California to meet with tech titans on their turf. Oh, nice alliteration, Prospect Magazine. And reassure them that the post-Biden Democratic Party had no intention of threatening their business interests. But this has done little to dislodge the hold the Trump administration has over the industry. Yeah, and Francesca says, and this is bad news, but you support Zohran endorsing him as House leader, and you're not going to criticize him telling Chiese to drop out of the race when he's doing this. This needs to be stopped. He needs to be fucking stopped, and you're just fucking around with it. Okay. So, when we are talking about Zionism, all right. So there is an account called Stop Anti-Semitism. It's one person, okay? And Stop Anti-Semitism has like a anti-Semite of the week and the year, and they put people on like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens who are anti-Semitic, alongside people who are just pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist. And there's another website or Twitter account called APAC Tracker, okay? And obviously this guy here, Casey Kennedy, runs APAC Tracker. And Casey Kennedy, the man who bashes APAC and vilifies anyone working with the Jewish group, appears to be an employee here. So she doxed him and then he got fired. So APAC aligned trolls have started a coordinated smear campaign attempting to get me fired from my day job. It might end up working, but guess what? Update, I got fired from my corporate job of 8 years for speaking out against an ongoing genocide. That is so bizarre. Like, if you were able to say these are just APAC trolls, sounds like a unfair dismissal to me. Anyway, donate here to help us grow our team, dig deeper into donor networks, and start running ads to amplify our message. So he doesn't need I was surprised to find out that he had a corporate job because he makes a lot of money from APAC Tracker. And it says here, San Diego-based who is backing Graham Platner. He backed Graham Platner with a Nazi tattoo. I might be on Stop Anti-Semitism's side on this one. But let's have a look because it sounds like stand-up guy, right? He's tracking who's getting paid by APAC. Sounds like a good, noble cause. Okay, so we go to APAC Tracker's homepage, right? Look at this, yep. Go down to the links, Tish. View more, yep. And we're going to go to Citizens Against APAC Corruption. We're going to go to the donate page, right? And, oh, what's this? Act Blue. Act Blue. What's Act Blue, you might say? Act Blue. We are creating technology to shape our democracy and fuel democratic wins. So this AIPAC tracker is a part of the Democratic Party. Who does AIPAC give to a lot? Both sides of the party. They are exposing Democratic people as well. And they only track AIPAC. There are other Zionist organizations other than AIPAC because they say that Bernie is not sponsored by AIPAC, but he is sponsored by J Street, which is a Zionist organization. So it's really interesting that, it's a way of cleaning up that part of the Democratic Party, but it is just part of the machine. It is not for to, destroy Israel. It's to keep the status quo in the Democratic Party, essentially. And just before we move on, I want to bring your attention back to this Chiose tweet. And it was about, how bad Hakeem Jeffries is. And it was retweeted by AIPAC Tracker. Now, AIPAC Tracker has, a big history of backing Zohran, AOC, Bernie, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Blah. But this was an attack on Hakeem Jeffries. And I've seen another tweet where the AIPAC Tracker calls him AIPAC Shakur. And it's just interesting that, I don't know, it's the mixed messages again. Like, if Zohran is as good as you all say, then why is he not challenging Jeffries? Even the AIPAC Tracker, which is a Democratic associated PAC, is like, this guy, oh brother, this guy stinks. It doesn't make any sense. But not a lot of things do in American politics. It's pretty crazy looking from the inside. Looking from the outside in, I don't think a lot of these people that I've been doing videos about just realize how just crazy it all looks. I long for mundane. All right, let's keep moving on. So if we are against AIPAC, see, you can donate Citizens Against AIPAC Corruption. So that just must mean that we don't like Zionists if we're against AIPAC, right? This is interesting that Francesca has retweeted this from Prem Thacker, who is with Zateo. Dan Goldman didn't endorse Mamdani, voted with 212 Republicans to censure Rashida Tlaib, joined 148 Republicans to express disgust at South Africa's ICJ genocide suit, suggested attack killing 100 plus people waiting for food was a Hamas narrative, and didn't trust the number of kids killed in Gaza. That's interesting. I wonder, whole list of Democrats who voted to censure Rashida Tlaib. Let's have a look at the whole lot. We've got Steve Cohen, Jim Acosta, Angie Craig, Don Davis. See, a new list of people that I haven't heard of again. Don Davis, Lois Frankel, Jared Golden, Daniel Goldman, Josh Gottheimer. He's popping up a few times, isn't he? Greg Glansman, Susie Lee, Kathy Manning, Jared Maskowitz. He's not even on this. Hang on, what's his name? Dan Goldman. Oh, did I already read his name out? Because I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's Daniel. And good old Richie Torres. See, but Hakeem, however, Democratic criticism of Tlaib has been mounting, and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said usage of the From the River to the Sea slogan is not productive and only increases division. Fuck him. Fuck Hakeem. Anyway, why did we focus on Dan Goldman here? Because it's Brad Lander's That's who Brad Lander's going up against. So, Francesca, are you supportive of Brad Lander, but you didn't want to make it really obvious? So you put this up just to make Brad look better than Dan Goldman, right? When they're both Zionists, there's no good Zionist. There is no good Zionist. And do you know who else knows that? Her husband knows that. Oh, well, her husband put out a really viral reel about liberal Zionists, right? And that's what a lot of the Bad Hasbara, like that's where the podcast and a lot of that opening sort of passion came from, is these liberal Zionists who seem like good people and they've got very progressive views, except they quietly want to make sure that Israel is has their own state and it's all ours and we're allowed to have ethnic superiority, and it's just kind of annoying that we can't just get rid of that. Like, we can't kill all the Palestinians, but there's no good Zionist. It's a fucking red line. I'm not gonna cross over it. And then we've got this one on December 10th. So again, going back to this AI cabinet, which Francesca says, fuck all these hoes. Jeffries announced an AI commission and put the most right-wing pro-business members of the caucus and big tech House members representing Silicon Valley on it. This man is no friend of Zohran Mondani's or any New Yorkers or anyone who is slightly left. Absolutely ridiculous that anyone works with him, because Josh Gottheimer, New Jersey, work your shit out. Josh Gottheimer is obviously terrible. Because it's not worth it. Like, yeah, sure, the New Yorkers get like a free bus while energy prices go up and up and up and up. So, like, that free bus isn't going to make much of a difference because you're paying through the nose on energy because of these motherfuckers building data centers everywhere. There's no more water because the data centers need the fucking purified water. Like, it's all very much connected, and you can't just fucking give up one thing for another and expect that it's not going to have some sort of fucking, like, effect. Also, she's out here retweeting Brian Tyler Cohen. Brian Tyler Cohen, the most fucking blue MAGA of blue MAGAs. As a liver doctor who has treated patients with hepatitis B for decades, this change to the vaccine schedule is a mistake. The Hep B vaccine is safe and effective. The birth dose is a recommendation, not a mandate. And they're saying this is your legacy because Bill Cassidy was a doctor and he was the deciding vote on RFK. But thanks. I'm glad that you're, like, retweeting fucking Brian Tyler Cohen. Is Glinda a shitlib? Do you know about shitlibs? Yeah, you sure do, because you are one. This was retweeted by Francesca before Zohran, like, told Chiose to drop out. Well, he didn't say that, but he may as well have. Chiose, Gen Z activist and council member in Brooklyn, has filed paperwork to run in the 2026 Democratic primary against pro-Israel U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. The longtime incumbent in New York's 8th District, Ose has been one of the city's youngest council members. So this is good at the time, right? Yay, we're really happy, until Zohran said, oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. And meanwhile, Jeffries is just fucking everyone. Like, it is ridiculous. And just before we move on, I want to bring your attention back to this Chiose tweet. And it was about, like, how bad Hakeem Jeffries is. And it was retweeted by APAC Tracker. Now, APAC Tracker has, a big history of backing Zohran, AOC, Bernie, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Blah. But this was an attack on Hakeem Jeffries. And I've seen another tweet where the APAC Tracker calls him APAC Shakur. And it's just interesting that, I don't know, it's the mixed messages again. Like, if Zohran is as good as you all say, then why is he not challenging Jeffries? You know? Even the APAC tracker, which is a Democratic associated PAC, is like, this guy, oh, brother, this guy stinks, you know? It doesn't make any sense. But not a lot of things do in American politics. It's pretty crazy looking from the inside, looking from the outside in. I don't think a lot of these people that I've been doing videos about just realize how just crazy it all looks. I long for mundane. So, I'm going to leave it there. I am going to do a separate video for Zateo, and I'm going to look at Brad Lander in the next one. I hope you can see the mixed messages and the absolute just submitting to just this one guy. There's a channel called Non-Compete. I talked about it at the beginning of the video. And Non-Compete, it's one guy, and he has a girlfriend called Luna Oi. And they live in Vietnam, and they're communists, and they talk about communism and from that point of view. And they've got a video called The Great Man Theory. And it's all about, like pinning all your hopes on one guy, the great man. And what do we do with that guy? Like you have to stick with him, and how you don't start criticizing him because of those things, and it becomes a cult of personality, instead of holding politicians accountable for their choices, which is something that has not happened in America. And it's why we are where we are. And, like a lot of people will say, well, why do you fucking care? You live in Australia. Shut the fuck up. Unfortunately, and this is not anyone's preference, BD dubs, America is the superpower of the world. Minnie was scratching her on the camera cord. So this is why we're in the mess we are in today, because we've had too many politicians that are great people and we can't criticize them. We have to go into bat and like we can't be honest about where we are. And that is such a symbol of what Donald Trump is. And even both sides do it. Like even the Democrats don't. Well, they will criticize him leading up to an election. Oh, we really need to win this because he's a fascist. And then he wins it, becomes a fascist, and you giving up? What? You said he was a fascist. Don't you want us to? Anyway, I think it's shit. I think that Francesca knows better. She can do better. And I'm just generally pissed off with everybody because they can't seem to be truthful with themselves and with their audience. There are other people who you can give your views to, including me. Oh my God. So good. Anyway, thanks for watching. And I still have to cover Zateo. I'm going to talk about Brad Lander and probably Emma Vigeland again. Hassan. Maybe other people. Yeah. Oh, and I want to talk about Stop Anti-Semitism. No, APAC Tracker. All right. Thanks for watching. Chuck us a like. Subscribe if you enjoy. Well, you can subscribe even if you don't enjoy. I don't care. And I'll see you next time. All right. Goodbye now.